What's up, everyone? What's up? How's everyone doing today? Or should I say this evening? I hope you all are doing well. It is Monday, the 9th of May. And yeah, man, the year is going like no one's business. I thought we're in May already. Damn. So yeah. Before we know it, June, July, September, August, September, then end of the year. I'm telling you, time is going too fast. So before we get started, let me just say my normal greetings. I can see already some people in the chat. So let me just say hello to everyone. Tash, yeah, all will be revealed. All will be revealed. But hope you have a good evening. Hope the family's doing well. Hope you've had a good Eid. Skills man reloaded. How's it going? Okay. Aaron B, what's up? Or Aaron B, so I don't feel it's Aaron. Um, again, we'll see. Stanley, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Hope you family's all doing good. So, apologies also because this live was supposed to be at 7:30, but you know how life is. It got doing other things come up, crop up, and it just delays you. But yeah, it's good time now, so I'm not going to delay it too long. It's already late as it is for people. I know it's a work week and all that good stuff. But no, I appreciate you all for stopping by. Please make sure you like, share the stream, subscribe if you are new, especially for those who are listening onto the playback. Again, appreciate you all for tuning in whenever you are in the world. Now, title of this live stream has got people thinking, which is good. I ain't gonna lie to you. Sometimes giving away everything, it reveals too much, and people sometimes are like intrigue, like suspense, especially when it comes to their movies, their TV shows. People like to have, not necessarily a cliffhanger, but you know what I mean, something that they can figure out. And the title of the live stream is called the A word. Why this word has become a bad word in today's society. Now, I suppose the backdrop of this is just I've been rewatching a few of my live streams, some of the usual conversations that come up, and some of the things which I try and say, and I listen to the responses, some of the things that other people say, listen to their responses. Ultimately, I'm just listening to the overall energy, the overall feeling of what it is that I'm listening to. So a lot of times, right now at least, I'm kind of taking a bit of a back seat when it comes to certain conversations. I'm just like, let me just put this out there here, put this out there. I may respond to some of the things because I'm like, oh, grief. And the reason why I do that is because I think for me as a content creator, you can't help this, but I do believe this. Your audience is a very, very fair representation of you as a content creator. Now, again, we're all grown adults here, so I'm not gonna play as if content creators can control what subscribers, view, or even viewers say. I mean, let's be honest, especially if we've got so many subscribers. But I do believe on the crux of it, on the whole of it, the type of people who listen to your content reflects on you as a content creator likewise. So the things that people say, that also does reflect on me. So therefore there's certain times where I have to be like, hold on a second, what type of energy am I creating around my content? What type of people are gleaning to this content? Because that tells me a lot about me, as well it tells you me a lot about you, and vice versa. I'm sure you're the same. You have a picture in your head about who I am as a person based on what I say, how I say things, how I interact, basically my content. And that's how usually I assess things, and that's how I assume most people assess things. You can only assess it based on what I say. You don't know me in real life, so it's nothing else you can go off. Um, so that is kind of how it is. And actually, no, it's not. No, it's not audience. But let me ask this question then. So, what do you think the word "a" is? What do you think the word I'm talking about? What is that bad word? I'm not going to spend too long on it. You're grown adults, but what do you think that word actually is? Again, I've seen some other people put accountability on there, audience, asshole. What do you think the word is? All right. Now, Skittles, man, reloaded. You are pretty much almost there. I'm going to use a different word. Use a different word, but pretty much it does tie into it. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna kind of give it to you. But let me just put the word in there. Let me put the word in there, and let me put it up on the screen just so people can see on the playback if you're listening into a car, and sometimes you either listening, but the word is ambition. So Skittles, man, you were closest. You got achievement and accomplished. But the word that I'm going for, the word which at the moment for me seems to be a bit of a bad word, against the men. And this is the kind of thing in which I kind of want to go to. Again, I have a mostly male platform. Again, big up to the women who are here. But this, I suppose this applies to anyone. But for me, the kind of things which I'm seeing, which I'm not liking, let's just say this. I believe we need to go in a different direction. I believe what I need to make sure I can do is definitely put down some tent poles as to what it is that I as an individual aspire to be, what I hope my viewers aspire to be, and what they glean to. And one of these words, one of the main words I'm seeing, which has now become a bad word, I'm going to explain what I mean by that, is almost met with froth. It's the word ambition. Now, the reason why I say that is because whenever we have these, lives and these conversations, again, the same old conversation that keeps propping up in a lot of different aspects. And I'm going to play a clip shortly, which again, hopefully underpins what I mean by this as well in so many different ways. It always seems to be met with, shrugs, people, suck the teeth, opposition for some odd reason. I'm just like, why would this word ambition be such a bad word? Why would something about, achievement? Why is there something which is such a word that, again, these are grown people now. These aren't, people who are less than 20. People less than 20. I mean, and I'm going to tell you why I was almost on your train of thought. And I'm going to play this clip in a second because, again, I was on that train of thought as you was. I was in this mode to think, these people in these spaces, that's the modus operandi. That's what they're looking for. That's what it is that they're always talking about, being ambitious. These are the kind of men who aren't part of the norm. These aren't the men who are, they stand out. They're the kind of men who I thought, again, that's what they were looking to seek to improve all the time. That's kind of, again, I was with you on that, Skittles, man. I promise you, I was with you on that. That's why, again, I made a live stream talking about, do black men care about self-improvement? Because some of the things I was hearing made me think twice about, and I had to replay my live streams, look into what's been said, not been said, what's been inferred, and think, maybe that's not the case. And maybe there are some things which I'm like, interesting. So I'm just going to play this clip. It's a bit of a long one. I just want to, not a long one, let me lie, about 5 minutes or so long. There's a conversation with a pretty well-known red pill content creator and another, I forgot the individual is. But let me just play this clip, okay? I'm not going to really pause and stop because I want you to just hear it for yourself. And I'm just going to come back and to see exactly what it is that you've heard. See if you heard what I heard. I'm going to play it one time and see what you hear. I might have to play it twice, but I want to see whether you heard what I heard. And this is why Skittles, man, I'm saying what I say right now. And this is why I was like, I was on your train, but I'm just like, let's just see. Right. So let's without further ado, let's get into this clip. Again, fair use, YouTube, fair use. Don't take this clip down. Ross Clark.
You think that can be trained, meaning this. Let's just say there are guys out watching this right now. They're solid guys. They're responsible, right? They're responsible. They're earlier on in the process, but they're just not getting, women aren't interested in them. Do you, because I think it is possible to say, man, you know what? You love Jesus. You're a solid guy. Before you get tainted by the world, let's get you in the gym, bro. I'm gonna get you on this workout regimen. We're gonna get your macros right. We're gonna put 15 pounds of muscle on you. You're not dressing very cool, my man. Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. That outfit, that ain't hitting. Let's get you some better clothes, right? Do you think that the inverse of that can be cheated? Let's say we do have responsible, solid guys coming from good families, love God, but they don't have the confidence yet. Because I think confidence is a byproduct of accomplishing things. So if a guy says, I'm 20 years old, I'm gonna get my butt in the gym for a year and put on 20 pounds of muscle, which is possible when you factor in newbie gains. That young man is gonna look completely different on the other side of that. It's like, well, if you want women, you gotta attract what you are. So if you want a good looking girl, you gotta look the part. You gotta get your butt in the gym. You gotta get shredded. You gotta put some muscle on, right? Do you think that can be taught as well?
Short answer, I'm gonna give you the short.
Right, so just a bit of background, okay? So this is a conversation, again, typical conversation, red pill, and this guy is trying to, they're both trying to say, you know what, okay, cool. So this is self-improvement. So everything you heard right now in the first so many couple of minutes. So it's all about self-improvement. So again, this is perfect. This is what I'm like, yeah, cool, awesome. Now, the guy on the left, he is clearly not in his space in terms of Red Pill space. Obviously, Hafiz on the right, he is. So he knows all about this stuff. He should be, yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You're speaking my language. This is where I'm at with things. This is where I was like, all right, cool. Now, listen to the response. All I'm gonna say is listen to the response and see if you heard what I heard. I'm not gonna stop it just to try and put you into that. Oh, I want you to see whether you heard, or sorry, hear what I heard. All right, let's continue.
Short answer and long answer. Short answer, yes, 100%. So one of the biggest things with the roommates is we teach about helping men level up, become the best version of themselves, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Physically, healthy, shape, style, emotionally, dealing with past traumas, social skills, communication skills, all that. Spiritually, getting right with God, reconciling relationship with God, financially, financial stability, financial wisdom, financial investments, all that good stuff, right? So building up the whole man. So short answer, yes, it can be taught. That's what we're doing here.
Amen.
Here is the long answer is that I would argue that men did not have to do all this to get women. This is where the world has changed, if you ask me.
Okay.
The world has changed where men did not, like, I would argue in the past, men were valuable. I've talked about this before, just my theorizing. Men were valuable if women couldn't work to women because we're more valuable. And what I mean by that, if women couldn't work and they couldn't own property, this is the simplest one, own property. A lot of places around the world they can own property. If you wanted a house as a woman, you needed a man. So therefore, there comes a point in your life where it's like, I want a house, I got to get a man. So there's value in a man just having a house, right? Okay. There's value in just a man in general because he will give you things you don't have access to. So women in the past, their desires were totally different from women today. A lot of studies in the past, when you ask women like, okay, what do you want in a partner? Job, house? That's all they really cared about, right? Most marriages, I would argue, in the past weren't these modern love marriages, right? They were function marriages where they served the function. Man protect and provide, women nurture and support, right? So in the past, most guys didn't have to have great style. Most guys didn't have to be in great shape. Most guys didn't have to learn charisma and charm and know how to read all these. Most guys didn't. If you were a guy, eventually you can find a girl. The world changed. And then women became more competent. Women became more successful. The world became more egalitarian. And naturally speaking, this is across almost all female animals. Women are hypergamous, right? And they usually want something similar to or greater than they are. And so now when you have a lot of women who are on levels where they may have not been in the past, especially financially, a lot of guys aren't as appealing. And so a lot of guys in the past who, if you were living in the 1920s, you would have easily found the girl. But in 2020, no. And so, yes, the guys can change. It's just that men have not been historically used to putting in this much work for simple women interaction, if you were to ask me.
All right. Now, I may have to use a different screen because I may want to come back to
the disconnect.
Give me a second. Which one is it? Which one do I want? Oh, no, screw it. Now, take off this fair use banner. You listen to that. I tried to, again, play it all in itself. I wanted you to listen to it. I didn't want to infer anything or impart any of my bias to this because this is where, again, if you read between, I wouldn't say even between the lines, but did you hear what I just heard there? Did anyone hear what I just heard? Because at the start, it was all about self-improvement. It was all about this. It was all about that. And I'm just like this. Even Hafiz said, yes, we believe in this. We teach this. All this kind of stuff is what we teach. I was like, all right, cool. But you know what he did? He said the but. And you know what everyone keeps saying? Anything before the but is absolute BS. And this is where men are, because this is where, again, I get a lot of guys who listen to these kind of content creators, and this is ultimately the energy that a lot of these guys put out there. You see, what they've reduced the situation to is we shouldn't have to be ambitious to do what our previous generations of men apparently, now this is apparently, because again, Stanley, oh, fair enough. But this is the kind of situation where I used to be on that situation, that thought path of, yeah, this is what guys are about. They're all about being ambitious. They're all about self-improvement. But even that word self-improvement now, even these, it used to be a case of when AMS was around, everything was about being on your purpose. But let's be honest, that is all shifted now. It's all shifted to one aspect, which I'm going to get into, which is the blame game. And all it's about, listen, you should take me as I am. Now, who the hell? That's what exactly Hafiz basically said. If you listen to what he said, he pretty much summed it up, or you can sum it up by saying this: you should accept me for who I am. That's basically what he said. That doesn't sound like someone who, that's why I keep saying ambition seems to be a bit of a bad word right now, because stereotypically, what gender says that kind of BS? What gender says that kind of BS? It ain't men historically. It's not even men currently. A lot of times it's a woman, but this is what I'm talking about, where I'm going to say this. Certain content creators, they kind of, you always can tell where they're at based on their content, based on what they generally talk about as to what they just about skim the surface with. I've always said this, and I'll say this again for people who didn't catch it. I believe a lot of somebody's content is what I call fast food content. When people argue about, is this, because the title of that snippet I played is the red pill trauma or toxic, I believe it was. And a lot of people say, no, there's good information here. No, there's good information here. No, there's good information there. And I will say this, for me, it reminds me of a fast food diet, because if you ever seen a McDonald's advert, and this got me, or even a KFC advert, the thing that they entice you with is they give you, I think it was lettuce, fresh cucumber, fresh tomato, all this kind of other stuff. You're like, oh, wow, what's this? McDonald's. And McDonald's could easily say, we, give you the fresh lettuce, fresh tomato. They're healthy for you. That's part of your 1 of 5 a day. But let me ask you this question. By eating McDonald's as a staple diet daily, is that going to be healthy for you, or is that going to turn you into a fat SOB? You know what it's going to be. And this is where a lot of this content is right now. A lot of the content that they say, oh, it teaches us about finance. Oh, it teaches about, us how to be a better a man. How it teaches about mental stability. Oh, it teaches you about this. I'm like, yeah. For me, that reminds me of the McDonald's burger. There's a bit of lettuce in there. There's a bit of cucumber, some gherkin in there, which may be healthy for you, but it's all toppled with the burger, which is, we know what that burger is. That burger is that blame game. That burger is, we know we're going to tell these women everything about themselves. But guess what? They can rely back on. Oh, well, we do teach this. We do teach that. It's, we put, we put this in there. We put the lettuce in there. And I'm like, no. It's a load of BS. And when people talk about content creators teaching us this, that's not what you don't go to McDonald's looking for salad. I remember going to KFC, because KFC do salads, right? And I got clowned for asking for salad by like the man them, because I'm like, I wanted a salad. You don't go to KFC for a salad. You don't go to McDonald's looking for the lettuce. You do not go to McDonald's looking for healthy food. You do not. This is what I'm trying to say. You do not go to these spaces looking for a healthy, staple diet in how you need to be as a man. That's why I say ambition. In a lot of these spaces, and again, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've got mostly males in my audience, mostly men. Ambition's become a dirty word. It has become a completely dirty word, where for some odd reason now, for guys who say that they're about that life, when I listen to you, when I listen to some of the live streams, we're creating a situation of men being this, take me as I am, and we shouldn't have to do this, and we shouldn't have to do that. Let me say this. And it's, let's be honest, it creates laziness. It creates the victim game, all these kind of things, which, again, for me personally, listen, I don't want this to be my message. I don't want it to be I don't want it to be anything which you guys take from me, that I'm trying to employ upon you, that you should be lazy, you shouldn't be ambitious, you shouldn't want to strive for being better. That is not the message, or not the kind of aura that you infer from me. So I want to make sure I make that abundantly clear, which is why going forward, my content hopefully will reflect that. Some of the things that I see, I'm like, no. I can't get on this train, man, because I know what it is. So I want to make sure that people who listen to this content, who want to know what my content is about, it's about us helping us as a people, but it's about moving forward, progression, ambition. Here's the thing. It always comes with struggle. You really think leveling up, moving up to the next level doesn't come with some sort of struggle? Bro, in order for you to walk, you have to crawl. When you ever have kids and you see them trying to walk, it's struggle for that child. It's struggle. But what does a child want to do? Walk. Because what does a child know when a child can walk? It's progression to the next stage. It can move forward. Right now, for some odd reason, we're still crawling. And the difference is we're not 2 years old anymore, or say 2. We're not like 13 months, 14 months. Some of us are like, goddamn, 50 years old, still crawling. We should have been walking. Hell, we should have been running. We should have been on a treadmill long time ago. And this is what I mean. At the moment, it seems like we want to be accepted for the ability just to crawl. This is why he used that analogy. This is why, again, you listen to these guys. Guess what they always say about women? They want them. If you listen to what he said men were more valuable if women did not work. You see what that was? If women didn't work, men were valuable. If women didn't have property, men were valuable. And I'm like, are you reducing men to just utility? Are you reducing men just for the sheer fact that you can provide shelter? Yes, he did. And this is what a lot of guys keep saying. A lot of guys keep saying these stupid analogies. Oh, the reason why you got this because you got this egalitarian society. You mean the fact that a woman can actually work for herself? If a woman can actually own some property, does that scare you? That's why I want to ask this question. We talk about ambition, but truth be told, is this really about? I think this is a bad word. But is it a bad word? Do you see ambition as a bad word? Or only is it a bad word when certain people use the word ambition, when they're looking for someone ambitious? Because here's the thing, and this is what I want to tell guys this, and this is how I saw what Hafiz says. If you look at the, let me get this up again. 1 second. All right. So I'm just going to play this. I'm just going to scroll through here.
Where did not have to argue.
So, I was going to play this here because I want you to look at something. This is what I spotted. I want you to see something.
Amen.
Here is the long answer is that I would argue that men did not have to do all this to get women. This is where the world has changed.
Look at his face. As soon as he started this dialogue, because he beforehand, if you didn't see it, I apologize, but you have to replay the stream. Beforehand, he was talking about, yeah, we're all ambitious, we're all about self-improvement. And he was like, yeah. The white on the left was like, yeah, okay. Until guess his face when he said, I would argue you don't have to do this. Like, really? Look at his face says 1,000 words. And this is what I mean, because after he said that long soliloquy here, and this is where most men are at this moment in time, for whatever reason, we know what some of the reasons are. We don't need to get into it. But you know how that comes across? As I'll say, as a man, and what I've heard women say, that shows, I hate using a stupid word, beta energy. He comes across like a loser. Let's just keep it real. He came across like a flipping loser. Now, by the way, he himself is not a loser. He himself, if I've listened to some of his content, not all of it, but when I look at some of his videos, he himself is not a loser. So why in God's earth would he even utter this out of his mouth? This is why even I'll give him his credit and I give him his props. And even the guy on the left actually agreed with this. He wasn't far off being incorrect in terms of men were more valued for, let's just say, simpler things than they are valued now. He's not wrong. But there's some things I'm going to tell you this as a guy, never in your life utter it out of your mouth. Don't do that, because that shows me and it shows other people just your aspirations. If I heard a man tell me, you know what, I could have been this, I could have done that, but you know what, I don't think I need to. I don't think I need to reach that next level. I don't think I need to, level myself up. I don't think I need to apply for another job. I think I'm happy and content being here. Now, again, I'm going to say this. He says he's happy. He says, I don't think I need to do that. He's not wrong. He doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to take another job. He doesn't have to apply for other positions. He can stay wherever he is. That is completely fine. You are not wrong. But what does that signal send out? Not forget women for a second, to another man. You know what that saying says to me? Son, my bro, I'm going to tell you this. I'll probably have to slap you in the face for saying that crap to me. But I'll say this. That shows to me your level of ambition. That shows to me where your head is at. Now, we can talk about whether there's something going on in his life which has caused him to be like that. Truth be told, not everyone has to be. Again, I'm not talking about necessarily being a Fortune, a FTSE 100 company owner. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. But there are situations I see guys, even when I'm going through my career, and I don't know if you've ever seen this in your life, where you've surpassed, you've gone forward with your career, and then you go about, let's say, 4 or 5 years later, and you see the same person doing the exact same job you left them at. Now, again, that person could be happy as ever. You've no idea. But what is your immediate thoughts on that? You're thinking, man, I remember people like this. They used to teach me. I remember going to certain positions where they taught me entry positions. I moved up. And then I see them in the same entry position. I'm like, listen, I'm not saying, again, this is not to No, I'm not going to use the word shame because men shouldn't be saying this stupid thing like shame. Screw that crap. I think that's a bitch word. But I'll say this. For me, that kind of just shows a little bit of where their ambition lies and where they are. And I'm just like, how do you think a woman sees that? Again, I'm not saying that means that you ain't anything. I'm not saying that means you can't get this. I'm not, because we know guys can get this. We know that's the case. We know that, guys who ain't got anything can get women. That's not the issue. But the question is, as a man, because this is what this comes down to, as a man, look, forget all that nonsense. There's certain guys where I'm looking at them thinking, man, it comes across as laziness. People just want in life to be able to do the bare minimum to get what they want in life. And I'm like, where do they do that at? In any aspect of life? Think about this. Beforehand, it used to be acceptable. Sorry, it used to be a good thing, a good achievement. It still is to have a degree. It still is. It very still is. So it's still a good thing. I'm never going to knock someone for getting a degree. But as you realize, as the standards have increased, as more people getting degrees, what once was known as something that was unique is now something that, guess what? Everyone has. So now what was unique is now the norm. And what kills me the most is this. Look, cultures, societies, they all change, they all evolve. So when a lot of people say this nonsense about I don't have to do this, yes, for that generation, yes, for that generation. But we're in another time, a different generation. Because at the end of the day, I'll say this. Some of the things that our forefathers had to go through, and this, let's be honest, this could be raceless. I won't want to go through some of the things that they had to go through. We have internet nowadays in the West. We have the internet nowadays. We have the ability to work from home. Some people, depending on what your work is. We have so much more flexibility in life in which, yes, I'm not going to knock. There are things, cost of living, rising house prices, issues here, there, everywhere. I'm not going to dispel that. But the things which I'm going to say this, I would still, if I could have the choice right now, knowing what I know now, I still want to be in this time because I have something called, and most people have this thing called freedoms. I know freedoms is kind of a bit of a word which we can get into whether we all are free and whether there's something called freedoms. All right, fine. We can have that esoteric conversation at some other point. However, generally speaking, in comparison to previous generations, we are as free as we ever been. We're not enslaved, literally. Some of us are enslaved mentally. Again, another conversation. But let's be honest, some of the hardship they have to go through, bro, you have to go through those things. They pay the way so we can enjoy these things. And the fact of the matter is, some of the things that are here, I'm like, bro, you don't want that life. You just don't want that life. That's why some conversations I'm like this. Look, this whole, I'm gonna have to do a live stream on this. Traditionalism and modernism. Guys, I'm telling you, when I have that conversation, I'm gonna make you think about what you really want. I really want to make you think, are you sure you want what you say you want? Because you might just get it. And this is how it always is. Be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. And a lot of guys, a lot of people, a lot of women included, when they say they want what they want, they really aren't ready for the sacrifice that had to be made. I mean, again, that was a generation in the previous life that they had to do it. Let's be honest. If you were living in South Africa, you had during the time of apartheid. You had to live in that environment. You had to live in that environment. So there's certain things which you may say they had an easy time, but you had to go through the things that they had to go through. They had no choice until they made a choice or till they made a situation to make it so. There is no apartheid. It's post-apartheid. This is the situation here that we're facing right now. Now, that's one of the things. That's one of the first things I realized when it comes to ambition. One of the reasons why I'm like, okay, laziness. That's one of the things which I see. That's one of the things which I'm like, that's what I hear. And the second thing, this is another A word, adaptability. This is the reason why, again, when it comes to ambition, this goes hand in hand with ambition to me. And again, another thing which I'm like, why does this seem to be why does it seem to be just a hard thing to grasp for some people? But of the two genders, women seem to be more adaptable to the environment than men are at the moment. Again, men are harking back to a time and place which I'm pretty sure they've not researched in their life. They have not researched in their life. They don't know what it entails. They couldn't handle that shit. But yet and still, I'm like this. In a world like this, men don't seem to be able to be adaptable. Again, whatever that guy was saying, I'm like, bro, he couldn't handle the modern day world. Do you know the reason why? Because that means he had to be adaptable. He had to put in more work. He don't think that, again, a lot of people think they don't have to put in that much work to get what they want to get. Again, by all means, you cannot put in any work. You don't have to. By the way, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want to do in life. You have the freedoms. Thank you for our ancestors to do this thing. You can be whatever you want to be in life, pretty much. Let's be honest. And no one is going to say, hardly anyone's going to say anything to you because guess what? You're free. That's exactly what it is. But this is where the complaining comes into it. But if you're not adaptable, if you can't adapt to the environment, the new culture that you're living in, then guess what? You're going to go backwards. Nothing in life stays still. Nothing in life stays still. Cultures rise and fall, empires rise and fall. Nothing stays still. Even if you think you're staying still, because of this one thing called time, you're ultimately always going backwards. It's like this. If you at 20 years old earn 30K, you're like, cool, awesome. I want to be like this for the rest of my life. You're probably thinking, because earning 30K at 20 years old, even at this day and age, great finances, great finances. You're not likely to be in too bad shape financially due to extra amount of, I know, debts, depending on obviously how you lived. You may be likely living at home or just coming out from that. But 30K at 20 years old, bro, you're likely to be living good. What's if in 15, 20 years time and you pretty much still earn 30K? What does that sound good? So instead of being 20 years old, you're probably 40 years old, earning 30K. And considering that time has elapsed, you're no longer 20, you're 40 years old, you're not increased, but you think you're still the same, but you're not. You've regressed. Why? Other factors come into a case. Inflation, cost of living, house prices, or maybe you have a family. So that 30K that you had at 20 pretty much goes down to whatever it is based on the inflation, cost of living. And we all know into certain governments, they don't really want to flipping pay you any money. So you earning some horrible wages for a long time. So again, my thoughts and prayers for a lot of people like that. I'm telling you. But this is what I mean when I say, look, you never in life stay still. You never in life stay still. You have to adapt because guess what? Time will always go forward. Time is the ultimate. What do you call it? Time is undefeated. Time will get each and every one of us. So at the end of the day, I'm just like this. Why do you think you are staying still? Truth be told, you ain't. So we need to be more adaptable. Right now, I'm hearing a lot of people who don't really want to be adaptable. Now, granted, I'll say this. A lot of guys say that you speak about tech and all this kind of other stuff, the new way of the world. But when this conversation come up, it's like speaking to just dead ear, speaking to dead ear. So when I hear this kind of stuff about, oh, we care about being ambitious, we care about going to the next level. No. Come off it. That's not the case. And this is why I would say this. A lot more women are killing the game right now. I was looking at this website about, backing data, and it's all run by women pretty much. There's a couple of guys there, but the women are killing the game when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I'm just like this, bro. Right now, we're not doing the best as we can do, especially as us, when it comes to us as people. Because I'm just going to share with you a couple of stats that I saw, which, if anything, when it comes to ambition, we really, really, really do need to make sure that we are crystal clear about how we want to move forward. Because at the end of the day, again, like I said, life is moving forward. Environment changes we can do. And this is something I saw a few days ago. Black unemployment has been terrible for over 20 years. Now, African and Caribbean people are consistently been at least twice as likely to be unemployed as white people over the past 20 years. We look at the figures, it goes into all this list, but basically here it is. So to use that BAME tag, but it says BAME are unemployed at 7.7% compared to 3.5% for white workers. However, the picture is even worse for us as people who are suffering 8.6% unemployment rate. And then for my American brothers and sisters, when I saw this, I was like, geez, how are you guys not talking about this? Joblessness crisis for black men cost about 50 billion per year. 50 billion. Jesus. That is crazy amount of unemployment. That's a crazy amount of expenditure that you're costing the government and costing yourselves and your own community. These things all have a knock-on effect. Now, am I saying, no, I'm not saying that laziness and not being able to adaptable is linked to necessarily you being unemployed. No. But it does tell you about the state of mind play of when I listen to some of these guys talking about where they are mentally. I'm like, no, I can see why the stats are this way they are. Of course, correlation doesn't equal causation. People talk about racism. People talk about this. People talk about all the other factors. I'll be honest with you. A lot of those factors for me are just a smokescreen. Because a lot of times we seem to, at the moment, some people will disagree with it here, the culture that's being bred with a lot of these space that we see here, it doesn't breed for a bunch of people and a bunch of men wanting to actually, get off their black ass and do what needs to be done. Because guess what? I shouldn't have to do any of this kind of stuff. I shouldn't have to do this. I should be okay. I shouldn't have to do all this kind of stuff. Well, guess what? Life isn't fair for all of us. We all have to do things we may not have to like. But as a man, bro, this kind of stuff is just BS, complete BS. You shoot as a man. There's certain complaints. I'm like, if I hear it comes out of your mouth, I'm sorry, bro. I have to call it what it is. You sound like a loser. You sound a bit like a loser. I'm not saying that I want everyone to be like these top 10%, because no, of course it's not possible. Of course that's not going to be the case. Of course I know that's always a situation where, based on abilities, based on situations. I know this. I get it. I know it. But when I hear this word next, another A word, and this is what kills me the most, whenever I even preface, why not push yourself to another level? Why not push yourself? I hear this. Well, most of us are average. And again, this is what the guy on the podcast, Hafiz, this is what he was saying. He was saying this. He was saying the norm is this, or the norm was this, and the norm is that, and the norm is that. And, most people aren't this, and most men aren't this, and most people aren't this, most aren't this. And I'm like, okay, again, I'm not disagreeing. This is the thing is, I think he's right. But again, how does it sound? How did it sound when you heard it? How did that sound? Now, here's the thing about this average. Again, yes, most people are average, but there are two things here. First thing, as I said, he comes across flipping. That's what I say. Men shouldn't be saying this. They shouldn't be saying that. I'm telling you, they shouldn't be saying that out of their own mouths. Let these women say it. Let these women say most of us are average. Let them say that crap. But even still, I'm going to come to that in a second. But please don't ever utter that out of your mouth. It just comes across weak, man, weak. Because we all know, and I agree, I all know we can't be Lionel Messi, we can't be Lewis Hamilton, Roger Federer, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Big up to him if you like snooker. I get it. But that does not mean that you can't push yourself. Because one of the things I've done in my videos in the past, if you've seen, or if you want to have a look at, is I've broken down statistics based on averages, based on house ownership, in which we lag behind. I think Black Caribbeans they own 40%. 40% of them are homeowners in comparison to the average of, I want to say 53%. Black Africans, they're 20% home ownership. They're least likely to own a home when it comes to physical wealth, net wealth. So when it comes to averages, and this is the thing when people use this word average, and I need to check them on this really hard. Average for one group is not the same for average for another group. And this is where it comes down to this whole BS about why you shouldn't be using this word. Because why do you think that is the case? Again, we look at education, when we look at the rates of first-class degrees, we look at the rates of second-class degrees, when we look at where people are employed, what positions, all of them are average. But when we look at black folk in comparison to the rest of the groups, where's that average? It's not remotely. I mean, it's not even remotely in the same level of some of these averages of other groups. And let's be honest, you look at the stereotype. Let's take Indians, for example. Now, the average Indian household earns more than we do. But to them, they're like, that's average. To us, that's more than average. Average Indian is likely to be, guess what? It's a stereotype here, but I went to the dentist and, I had an Asian dentist. Why do you think that is? The average Indian household, what they want from their child, and this is like preordained at birth. You're going to become like a doctor, a dentist, an engineer, bro. That's their average. Now, the reason why? Because they have, and this is the men now, they have men who will tell you C's aren't good enough in his household. They aren't. B's aren't good enough in his household. Or I think nowadays it's like, is it 6 as a C, or I think it's a 9, or some other BS that they're trying to do. In their household, A's are only acceptable. In their household, the best is only acceptable. So even though you may think, well, hold on, everyone's average. Yeah, that's what these black kids say. That's what you say. That's what I'm gonna let those black kids say. That's what I'm gonna let what their parents say. Well, everyone's average. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys. They can skate with the C's, D's, bro. I know people that came out DCs with U's, G's. People talk about F's, bro. We know in the UK system, you get U's, G's, all that kind of stuff. I never heard of a G until this guy said, "Yo, I got some G's." G what? I honestly thought the lowest it could go to was like I want to say it was like an F or an E. There were G's, and then when I got to A levels, there was U's. I'm not gonna lie to you, I got a couple of U's in some of these modules. I had to retake them. We'll move on. What I'm trying to say is this: other households, their average is a lot higher. So when everyone says average, everyone's average, everyone's this, everyone's that, man, miss me with that BS. Average in maths, plain speak, is just a rolling summation of the collective, which is based on individuals that form part of the group. The reason why certain averages are high is because the individuals in that group aim higher. Simple as that. So their average is different than our average. So when they go down there and all them cousins and all them kind of people, man, they're talking about their degrees, their PhD, they talk about this, all that kind of other stuff. They're like, yeah, that's standard. I got uncle do this. I got uncle to do that. You go to other communities. Yeah, I got uncles of business. And I got this. I can hook it with this, that, and the other. You go to these places, they have the network because guess what? Of course, I'm stereotyping, I'm generalizing, but this is the whole point. This is why you have this stereotypes, Asian corner store. This is why we stereotype Dr. Patel. This is why I have those stereotypes. They exist for a reason, folks, because guess what? That's how they teach their culture. And even when you speak to our West African brothers and sisters, hell, if you are West African, please pipe up in the chat, because I know you guys, Nigerians especially, you guys are told You guys have to do this. You guys have to be this. You guys have to do that. You know, Nigerian lawyer, doctor, engineer. That's something which, guess what, your culture breeds, because guess what, this whole average shit, this no one can do this or not everyone can do that. Yeah. Them Caribbeans, they tell them in Caribbeans that you, my friend, you, my brother, you, my sister, you are not being those kind of people. And this is what happens. And this, it sounds horrible, it sounds harsh, but this is the 100% truth. So when I hear that word average, man, miss me with that BS. What are you talking about? And again, Africans, they try and get me on this all the time when I talk about black people being average and black people being this. Which black people talk about? Because they know. And this is how you get them. This is how my African brothers and sisters, my West African brothers and sisters, I know your game. When it comes to, when you talk about average and achievement, they ain't playing around when that comes to that BS, you know. They ain't playing around like some of us have been. They ain't playing around. They will say, no. That's you, man. That's you, man, them over there. That's not us, man, them. You are the ones who talk about this kind of crap. That's not us. So their average is different than our average. But here's the thing. That's still an average. It's still an average. And this is why I want to hear this kind of crap about being average. I already know what you are. You are unambitious. You are lazy. You can't adapt. This is why I know your kids will. Let me not say anything more. The reason why certain groups are naturally higher, it's not because everyone's a doctor who's Indian. It's not because everyone's a lawyer who's a doctor's a Nigerian. It's not because every white man who's an owner of a Fortune 500 company, because we know that's not the case. We know that's not the case. But they will tell you, some of them, even the Chinese, I forgot about the Chinese. How did I forget about the Chinese and their education? They piss on every group. East Asians piss on every group when it comes to achievement. Every group. If they can't do it, they'll get tutors. They will do whatever they can do to make sure whatever it is, they will do it. So this is the key. This is what it is. And this is why I'm like this, bro. At the moment, I'm just saying, when I hear some of the conversations on this live stream, when I hear this, I got to call it out now. When it comes to the A word, ambition, it seems to be a dirty word from a lot of people. And for whatever reason, I'm just going to say from my channel, look, if we want to be talking about, again, for me, bettering us as a people, how we can improve, if we're not even ambitious as a people group, or at least, you know, again, for all those who hear it, again, not be ambitious as a people group, then there's no way near we can be ambitious. I mean, individually, sorry, there's no way we can be ambitious as a collective. The two things go hand in hand. I'm not talking necessarily about financially. There's other types of ambitions. Let's be honest. Mentally, spiritually, if you believe in spiritually, a human being, all these things roll into one. It's not just about this typical, which is easily measured. The reason why I go to achievement, education, attainment in terms of the jobs is because it's easy and measurable. We can measure who's in the CEO board members. We can measure who's in this type of employment. It's easy and measurable. You can't measure someone's heart. You know what I mean? How do you measure that? But then again, I'll say this: some of the conversations, some of the way how you talk to other people, you know, that's a fair. We can talk about that. To be fair, we can talk about how you treat people. And this is another thing. When a lot of these people, when you listen to them and how they talk to, whether it be men talking to women, women talking to men, bro, you can already hear what's in their spirit. You can already hear what's in their spirit. And you can already hear what they think. You can already hear what they feel, because the immediate moment is to be antagonistic, combative. And where do you think that comes from? Where do you think that comes from? I talk about the fast food diet. They talk about, we talk about, you know, we're about improvement, we're about being ambitious. No, man, that's the fast food diet. They have the lettuce, they have the gherkin, they may have the bit of the cucumber in there, but that's not what they're going for. That's not what they're going for. And you can tell, because guess what? When they come here, when you see them, they are a product of a fast food generation. Fat, lazy, unambitious, ADHD kids. That's my analogy when I use the situation here. So I just want to make it clear. I just wanted to put this here in regards to if this is a bad word. Yeah. I'm seeing it. People may disagree, that's fine, but ambition has become a bad word at this moment of time. And I don't know why. I don't know why it needs to be a bad word, especially among the men. I've talked to the men because I've got a male's channel. Let's be honest. Mostly men are in my comment section. Big up to the ladies. There are ladies here, but mostly men aren't. So it is what it is. I'm not going to talk to women necessarily about women's issues when it's about flipping when I got men in the chat. And let's be honest. And this is this is the really the final piece, the final, you know, coup de grace. And this is the really reason what it is. And people, let's be honest, they thought this immediately when I put this title together. Because truth be told, when it comes to ambition, do you know what it is? It's, yeah, I can change. Yeah, we should do this, but we shouldn't have to. Reason why? We're waiting another group to be held accountable for their mistakes or their issues. And this is the last A. This is the A which everyone thought this title stream, I assume, was going to be about. Oh, you talk about accountability. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this. And here's the thing. When it comes to accountability, and it kills me. People automatically assume that must mean I'm talking about women being held accountable. I'm like, hold on a second. Bruh. I never said that. And if it was the case, men are held accountable as well as women are held accountable. I thought was the case. But whenever that word comes up and accountability, you name it, it's always about what a woman does as opposed to what men are doing. Now, you can make up your mind. We all know what it is. We all know what the reasons are for. And that's why I'm going to say this. That word for me has lost all meaning because of that fact. Because at the end of the day, it's just a smokescreen. It's a smokescreen to be able to guys just to bash women, just a left hook, right hook, upper jab, uppercut, upper. That's all they want to hear. That's all they want to hear. That's all a lot of these guys want to hear. Women's mistakes, women's issues, da 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 da. And then when you talk about the men, what about the women? What about the women? What about the women? Let me say this. I'm going to say this to guys as well. What about the women? Because do you know when you, again, this is how I hear it when men say this kind of stuff. Whenever the supposed leader of a group talks about who's supposed to be underneath them, the tail, who is the tail? Is it the head that wags the tail? Who is it? Now, you talk about being a leader, you talk about doing this, but I'm like this, bro. It sounds harsh. It is harsh. And that's why, unfortunately, as a man, it just is what it is. When a community's up in smokes, when a community's up in flames, who do they blame? Do they blame? In fact, I'm gonna time you out for that BS comment because I'll be honest with you. You're one of the man them who, let's be honest, this must hit a lot. You're one of the man them who it sounds like it hits. So I'm gonna put you out in timeout. I don't care. But whenever I hear guys say this kind of stuff, not to say that what you're saying is wrong about what women are doing, but bro, why are you worried? Sometimes I'm like, why are you guys worried about certain issues? Which I'm like, certain issues you need to worry about yourself. It kind of shows for me. It kind of shows to me a little bit of who you are as a man and why I'm telling you. When you guys talk about traditionalism, you can't handle that crap. In a traditional setting, the man will be held responsible, good, bad, or indifferent. You are the head of the household, like a business. Mark Zuckerberg had to go into the House of Commons and he had to go to Congress about a business, which, let's be honest, decisions were made, I can imagine, weren't by his actual doing. I can guarantee Mark Zuckerberg does not make every decision, every micro decision, every mini decision that the company makes. But who's responsible for it, right or wrong? Who's the face, right or wrong? He is. Now, as much as we don't like to hear this, guys, a lot of representation of what happens looks more badly on us than anyone else. That's why when you guys talk about going to another culture of women, I'm like, okay, cool. But you know what you just said out your own mouth that you don't even realize? You've just told me that the men there are better men than you are because they've been able to culturally make the women better. That's what you guys are missing out from this whole, we're going to go to the culture of women. Not that I'm saying you shouldn't do it. Do whatever makes you feel happy at the end of the day because it's your life. That's where I'm at with things. But do you know what you're saying when you say we're going to another culture? You're basically saying the culture which you're a part of, which as men, you guys are the ones who sets the tone. You have not done a good enough job. Now, you can argue if it's you, if it's the past men, past this, whatever, it's fine. But this is what you're effectively saying. You're saying that you've been unable to culturally set the tone for your community. Therefore, you've had to go abroad. Now, we can talk about the laws, which I don't disagree. We can talk about all this kind of other stuff. But in essence, that's what you're saying. And these are third world nations. This is why when at the start of this clip, he was saying how men see things at the moment. This is how he was seeing it. If a woman doesn't have a job or a property, we're more useful. So this is why they go, again, a lot of them go to third world nations now. It's not just culture that they're better. Sometimes they have more finances, which makes them more powerful. Again, it is what it is. So when a lot of times when I hear some of these conversations, when you say what you say, you do know you do know how it sounds. Now, this is not to that women don't make fuck ups. Yes, they do. Yes, they motherfucking do. They do make fuck ups. I'm just saying, when you constantly go on about it and you constantly say this, bro, it looks badly a lot on you guys because here's the unfortunate truth about accountability. Because all you guys talk about, oh, the courts hold us accountable. I'm like, did the court hold you accountable when you decided to stick your dick in that woman and shoot up the club? Did the court hold you accountable then? Did the court hold you accountable when you decided, for whatever reason, in your infinite wisdom, to do what you did with that woman and not even care if she's going to be a shit mother? Because at the end of the day, we all know how the baby making process works. But again, what am I saying? What am I saying? What am I saying? It's all the woman's fault why the kid comes out. What am I saying? What am I saying? I'm talking to the wrong choir. I'm talking to the wrong audience, the wrong choir. I keep forgetting. You as a man, you can, stick your dick into a woman you know ain't shit, shoot up the club, and then at the end of the day, it's the woman's fault. What am I saying? Bro, what am I saying? And you get held accountable for paying child support. What am I saying? What am I saying? I'm talking to the wrong audience. That's what it is. As if you didn't have a mind of your own. As if you're using the wrong head. That's the problem. That's why some of these things you guys have conversations about. Listen, if you guys were just barely capable, barely competent, some of these issues wouldn't even be an issue because you do it the traditional way, which is, are you ready for this, guys? You wouldn't even be having premarital sex anyway. If you guys want to talk about traditions and conservatism and all that kind of modernism shit, if you guys took sex off the table, I'm telling you, most of your problems with women would go in an instant. But that's not what you guys want. We know it's not what you guys want. That's why, women, I'm going to say this. If a guy tells you to be traditional, all right, cool. No sex till marriage. That will end everything right there and then. I promise to God. If you say to these guys, no sex till marriage, I promise you, it will end so many things right there and then. Almost like this. You guys talk about conservatism, you talk about traditionalism. Traditionalism happened when a society which were pretty much all men and women were sexually chaste. This is why some of these conversations I hear, I'm like, bro, you ain't ready for that life. Bro, you ain't ready for that life. But you want the women to be sexually chaste, but you to be sexually loose. That's not traditionalism. That's not conservatism. In some cultures, you have a pre-arranged marriage. In some cultures, you have to marry your cousins. In some cultures, West African cultures, help me out, people, you have to marry within your tribe. Now you don't have to do that kind of stuff. And now you can marry whoever you want to marry. Now you don't need to do all this kind of rules. Matter of fact, I learned this not so long ago. You have to pay dowries for some of these women. A dowry. I thought that was some biblical thing. I thought that was some old school biblical thing. Paying a dowry for a woman, bruh. A dowry. You talk about traditionalism. I'm telling you, bro. Some of these things, some of these conversations you guys have about being traditional, conservatives, please, please, please make sure you're ready to have those questions. Because if you are ready to have it, cool. But I know most of you guys aren't. I know you aren't. Because that's not the first thing that we as guys want to think about when we meet a woman for the first time. We think about how quickly, how easily, what we need to do to get where we need to get to. Let's just keep it real. So when you talk about traditionalism, all right, okay. Yeah, Black Coach Jacket still just happens today. But I guarantee that ain't most of these man them over here. That ain't most of these man them over here. So anyway, that's the thing when it comes to this whole accountability piece. And some of these conversations I hear, again, when talk about the court system, how men are held accountable. Again, you can't be held accountable for being an unambitious loser. You can't be held accountable for that kind of stuff. There's certain things which these conversations need to be had. The world will not hold you accountable for being a bum. It just won't. You can be a bum all you like. You can be homeless. You can be homeless. You can live in a horrible place. You can do all these things as a man. You don't have to be that stereotypical. I have 3-4 marked kids with different types of mothers. That's the stereotypical bum. I'll give it to you. But you can be a bum in a way. It's crazy. And you, bro, this is another thing. You're right. And this is what I mean. It seems to be a bad word right now. And I'm going to say this because when women talk about a guy who is ambitious, they talk, oh, it's delusional. And I'm going to say this about any guy, any woman about being delusional with their ambitions. Listen, if you know anything about history, you know that it took delusions of grandeur for people to reach the moon. It took people delusions of grandeur to make fire. It took people delusions of grandeur to make things like the car, the steam engine. It took people delusions of grandeur or ambitions to create the modern world that we're in right now. So when people talk about disrespecting ambitions or delusional, listen, I know there are delusional people out there, don't get me wrong. But sometimes I'm like this. Sometimes be delusional with your ambitions. Be delusional. Because at the end of the day, if you don't reach Mars, you probably reach the moon. And then by the time you reach the moon, you're like, oh, I reached the moon. The problem I have with people who want to put you in this tag of just being average, oh, you're just average, don't worry about this, don't worry about that, blah, 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 is they don't realize their own ceiling. And I had a conversation and I was trying to explain to this person, look, I understand what you're saying. Not everyone can be this Lionel Messi. Not everyone can be Roger Federer. Not everyone can be Ronnie O'Sullivan. I hear you, bro. But do you think Roger Federer just woke up and I'm Roger Federer? Do you think Lionel Messi woke up one day and I'm Lionel Messi? Do you think Cristiano Ronaldo woke up one day, I'm Cristiano Ronaldo, I'm going to be this? Do you think that was how they were born? No. Anyone knows football, Cristiano Ronaldo, you know the work he put in. You know the effort he put in. You know what he had to do to be where he is today and what he still work that he puts in. He would tell you that he wasn't the most talented. A lot of these kids, I grew up with a lot of kids. I'm like, bro, you're talented as ever, but nope. Sometimes it ain't about talent. It's about your ambitions, about how you're going to move. It's so many other things that come into the back of it. So, bro, absolutely. If people try and disrespect your ambitions, fine. If people want to give you, you know what I mean? Definitely cut them off. I'm not saying that, you know, people are delusional. I'll give them that. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes I'm like this. It is completely crazy. And that's why I wanted to do this live stream today. I wasn't going to be too long because I'm like, bro, why is ambition seems to be at the moment a bad word? You know, why is ambition this thing which is, you know, only reserved for certain type of people? How do you think they got there? You know, it had to take a delusional ambitious person to create a dynasty. So many dynasties, whether it be the Rothschilds, whether it be the royal kings. If you see the history of how they came to power and the blood, sweat, and tears, bro, that's how ambitious people were. And this is why I've been reading this book. I say reading this book as if it's some sort of special flipping book. But I'm reading a couple of books at the moment. One of them is, I'm sure you've all, you know, 40 Laws of Power. And one of the other ones is a book about power in regards to, because the stereotypical slogan is absolute power corrupts absolutely. So power corrupts. And the argument put forward by the book, in which I hopefully want to try and bring into another live stream talking about power, is there's arguments for it, but actually there's arguments for the system that governs people in power is the reasons why it's corrupt. We always talk about like African leaders, it's very corrupting, you know. They reference the situation of a former president in Madagascar and how, funny enough, he was a poor person growing up and he got into the seat of power and he became like some of the most corrupt human being, corrupt prime minister ever in a nation which is extremely poor. And you're thinking, a guy who was poor himself, who managed to be so ambitious to get to the seat of power, how did they become so corrupt? And people say, always, the character, do unseen characters get drawn to these power positions? There's argument for it, but is it the system that underpins these power positions have or a magnet for people with these kind of narcissistic personalities? Because when you transfer it to the West, let's be honest, the kind of corrupt individuals you're thinking of, even though people talk about, oh, these politicians are corrupt, let's be honest, they're a little bit wavy, but, you know, corrupt and that kind of wavy. They're a little bit corrupt and a little bit, you know, sneaky on that kind of stuff. But that's not the kind of people you're thinking of when you're thinking of corrupt people necessarily. Well, I don't necessarily. I know people disagree with me heavily on that one, but it does seem to attract certain people, certain MPs, certain politicians. It does attract a certain different type of crowd. And this is the kind of thing about power and play and all this kind of other things. And I'm just like, look, are we as a group ready for that kind of conversation about power? Because when it comes to these world life-changing events, and this is what I kind of hate when it comes to this whole idea of World War III and how Eurocentric it is, as if wars don't happen anywhere else. But why do we call it World War III? Why do we call World War I, World War II? It's pretty much is a European war. Why do we hold it in such high regards as opposed to the other wars that take place elsewhere? When it comes to an African war, it's some tribal thing. You know what I mean? It ain't like nations, bro. It's tribes. It's tribes. That's how you guys get referred to. It ain't like this nation, that nation. Bro, you're tribes. You see how that goes? Why? Who's at the seat of power? When it comes to situation happening in Ukraine, what happens? You guys, we talk about the racist situation that took place, which Africans can get out of it. Why do you think we get disrespected? Power. We're at the seat of power. I looked at this stat that says by 2050, the nations who are likely to be in power, and of the top 10 nations, no African nation was on there. Now, Nigeria was 14th. I'll give it its credit. But this is the situation at hand. The nations who are likely to be the power nations will be China, India, Indonesia, USA will still be fourth. I think the UK was like seventh, Germany, Japan. I'm like, Indonesia? Where did Indonesia come from? Who's talking about Indonesia? Apparently, they're going to be up there as one of the top key players by 2050. Less than 30 years. So you see what I mean when I say, look, people aren't standing still. People aren't standing still, folks. So why am I having these stupid conversations? Because there are stupid conversations, these circular conversations, where I have all these BS things about this. I'm like, bro, listen, what I'm going to say for my channel and for anyone who's listening and who wants to even care, because you don't have to listen to me, I'll be honest with you. You know, you can listen to me for entertainment or cuss me off. It's fine. But all I want to say is this. The people who I want to impress upon, or the things I want to press upon, is us as an individual, as a people group, whoever you are, white, black, whatever. But I'm mostly black people here. Look, just be ambitious. Keep your ambitions. Still be ambitious. Still look to strive to be better. I'm not saying look down upon people who aren't in the same place you are. That's a complete other conversation. But definitely strive to be better. Definitely strive to be ambitious. Don't let no one clown you because you have your ambitions, man or woman. You know what I mean? I don't see that whole idea when man clown women about, oh, you have a degree or PhD. I'm like, look, and what? Does that scare you? Does that, you know, intimidate you for having a degree, or a PhD, a job? Flipping heck. Where are we at as a people group? But I know what it is. It's because it's the whole notion of, am I good enough? That's really the question. The question is really, oh, you're good enough. That's really what it is. But nowadays in the modern world, guys, and this is what I'm talking about, modern world, truth be told, a lot of women don't care as much about your money as you think you should. Or if you, I don't use this word, but if you know what you're doing, it ain't all that. Believe me, it ain't all that. But that's what I wanted to talk about today. I mean, look, the A word is ambition, people. It's not accountability. It's ambition. It's a word which I need to impress upon this channel a lot more. I'm sick and tired of the BS conversation, the circle of even the conversations. You can tell the ambition of a people group who talk about the same conversations over and over and over again. I mean, let's be honest. A conversation needs to be had a couple of times, and by the end of the couple of times, if you've said something 3 times, you're still complaining, then you like the situation. You're actually content with the situation. And this is why I'm going to do a live stream at another time. When it comes to people who want to legitimately build, people who want to legitimately build, I'll say this: stay away from people who just all want to do is just cause confusion, destruction. They aren't trying to build with you. They're just trying to let their voice be heard. They're just trying to be here just to sometimes troll, which is fine. They have an internet connection and ability to come on here. They're just chatting shit. And I'm just like, if they offer nothing tangible to you or what you're trying to do, truth be told, they're going to hinder your progress. Because let me tell you something right now. You can have 10 competent builders and 2 destroyers, 2 people who just want to see everything burn. I tell you this, the 2 people who want to see it burn, they will succeed. It is absolutely, listen, it's so easy to destroy, it's difficult to build. That's why sometimes I'll say this, I'll be honest when it comes to people saying, oh, you guys haven't built anything. It's so much more easy to destroy. So much more easy to destroy. How difficult was it to build, I don't know, the towers that went down in 9/11? How difficult do you think it was to build that? How easy was it to destroy it? Bro, chalk and cheese. So sometimes I'm like this. Don't talk to people who only ambition in life is just to be a flipping troll, just to destroy, just to break you down as a human being. That's just how it is. And sometimes to say it, I'm doing it in the hopes of building you up. BS. We know what building up looks like. We know what constructive criticism looks like. We know what that destroying people looks like. And that's the case what it is. It's just one of those things. So with that being said, I'm going to bid you a good night. Please make sure that you like the stream, share the stream, subscribe if you are new. Hopefully I'll have a live stream later on this week in which, there's a few topics I want to talk about. But yeah, make sure you share the stream, subscribe if you are new. And that's just how it is. I'm going to put some more mods on the channel because I'm seeing some trolls and I ain't got time to be listening to some of these guys. I mean, right now it's just like this, bro. I've done it right. Bro, ancient, goodbye. It's just like, bro, listen, at the end of the day, here's the thing about content creators. I can block you easy. I don't need to listen to your BS. And this is the thing, I don't even need to listen to all of this BS. And this is why I'm like this. Going forward, look, you want to be constructive and even be disagreement, that's fine. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. But some of the other kind of stuff, whatever. And I'm not in the mood or the mindset in my big old age to be dealing with whatever it is that you want to get out of your chest because you feel. And here's the thing. Just like you want to tell the women, if you don't like it, it's because the shoe fits or whatever it is, then bro, if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like it, then it is what it is. It's probably because it's hit you. A lot of people who don't see a problem with this message, because likely 2 things, it's not hit them, or even if it is something which like, okay, cool. They understand the message, they understand what I'm trying to say. So at the end of the day, like I keep saying, the moment you have these idiots around, it makes the whole pack go stale. There's another thing as well. Once you have these kind of people around, I'm telling you, you may think it's fine. They'll create a culture of just BS. And we all know what happens in that situation here. Anyway, that's that been done. Please have a good night, everyone. Like the stream, share the stream, subscribe if you are new. Until the next time, I'm out.